This lot is for chemistry. But first and foremost, I want to talk about the birth of chemistry. At creation, God created the universe, and the universe is full of substances, things around us. But what did God use to create these substances around us is what we call elements. The substances around us, both in the air, in the sea, underneath the ground, even ourselves, we are made up of elements. And the novice will call it substances. So when you say substances, we mean element or compound. So everything around us, the building block of all things around us, is what we call elements. Is what we call elements. The universe was created by God, and which is made up of the earth crust. When I say the earth crust, what is inside the ground? We are standing on the terrestrial ball, and inside, deep down inside, is made up of elements. We have the atmosphere from where we are standing up to the sky. That is what we call atmosphere, and that is made up of element too. We have the sea. The sea water is made up of the element too. And come to talk of ourselves, human being and every living thing, we are made up of elements. You may not know. So God himself created the elements which we are made up of. Now, chemistry, scientists came to discover that we need a better life, a better clothing, a better house to live, a better road to drive on, a faster mode of transportation. And so scientists, chemistry have to explore these substances, these elements God has made, to study the composition, the structure, and the properties, so that new things, new substances can now be gotten, which we can make use of for our benefits. And so this is the beginning of chemistry. This is the beginning of chemistry. But before I go further again, I said the universe is made up of the earth crust, the atmosphere, the seawater, and the human. So for you to know, if you go study or do research, you will discover that the earth crust is made up of oxygen, which is 46.6%, silicon 27.7%, for you to know, aluminium 8.1, iron 5.0, calcium 3.6, sodium 2.8, potassium we have 2.6, magnesium we have 21%, others we have 1.5. That is the earth crust, and that is why you will see that they say there is a mineral somewhere. There is another mineral somewhere, and you will see that nations are blessed differently with this mineral. They are elements that make up the globe, the earth. And so also the atmosphere, that is from the ground on which we are standing up. We have nitrogen, which is 78.08%, oxygen, which is 20.95%. We have argon, which is 0.93%. We have carbon dioxide, which is 0.04%. We have water vapor, which is from 0 to 4%. Now, that is the atmosphere. And if you look at the seawater, the elements that make up the seawater is in form of iron. And so we have chlorine, 55%. We have sodium, 30.6%. We have sulfate, 7.7%. We have magnesium, 3.7%. We have calcium, 1.2%. We have potassium, 1.1%. Others, 0.7%. Have you ever imagined that the seawater contains all these substances? And so lastly, we have the human being. The human being now. The human being, we are made up of oxygen, 65%, carbon, 18%, hydrogen, 10%, nitrogen, 3%, sulfur, 0.25%, sodium, 0.15%, chlorine, 0.15%, calcium, 1.4%, phosphorus, 1%, potassium, 0.25%. Now, that is why when man is sick, they say go and carry out test to confirm this element. When you are deficient, they will say you are deficient in one element or the other. Like for example, you want to do surgery, they will tell you to go and do potassium test. If you are deficient of potassium, if they conduct operation on you, the blood may not clot. So you can see the wonder works of God, that these are the elements, these are the substances God used to create the earth crust, the atmosphere, the sea, and the human being. So, in the course of looking for a better house to live, for example, scientists went into research and found out that they need to carry out experiments on the substances we can use to make metals. What are metals? What are metals? So experiments were carried out to bring more, to establish more of other chemical substances from the fundamental ones that we have, that have been naturally provided by God. And so this is the birth of chemistry. So what is chemistry now? What is chemistry? What is chemistry? What is chemistry? Chemistry is a branch of science that deals with the composition, structure, and properties of substances, and with changes that they go. and with the changes that they go. Now, let me repeat myself. Chemistry is a branch of science that deals with the composition, structure, and properties of substances, and with the changes that they undergo, that they go through. And let me tell you that when I say substances, those are elements and compound. So chemistry is all about, you remember when God created the earth, the first covering was leaf. Leaf. Later when they sinned, God used the skin of the animal as cover for them. But as time goes on and the earth began to multiply, develop, we now discover, scientists now discover that we can wear a better clothes. We can live in a better house. We can go on a faster transportation. We can eat better food. And that has led us into chemistry. Now, under what is chemistry, I will define what are substances. What are substances? Substances are building block of everything around us and can be either element or compound. Substances are the building block of all the substances. Substances are the building block of everything around us. And inside that, when I say substance, that is element. Substances are made up of element. We are going to be talking about what make up the element later. But take it from me like this now, that substances are made up of our element. In short, they are element. And so can be either, substances are building blocks of everything around us and can be either element or compound and could be in form of solid, liquid, and gas. That is why you will see that all God has created fell in between these three zones, either solid, liquid, or gas. And that is why you have the earth crust as solid in my presentation, and we have the atmosphere as gas. We have the seawater as liquid. We have the seawater as liquid, and human being as also solid, because human being has to exist to carry out the other three sections, to investigate the other three sections, and that is the purpose of man. So let me define chemistry now. Chemistry is a branch of science that deal with the composition, like I've said, structures and properties of substances and with the changes that they go through. Some substances are composed of elements and compound. Now, what is element? What is element? Element is a pure substance made of only one type of atom. Element is a pure substance made of only one type of atom. Let me cite an example. We have aluminium. I think we know what is aluminium. When they say aluminium or aluminium wire or copper wire, let's assume God made that copper wire. We dig the ground and see it. That is copper. We'll go further. look for aluminium. Go further, look for copper. Go further, look for potassium. Go further, look for calcium. As they began to discover these elements, these substances, either in the air, on the earth, beneath the earth, they begin to give them names. They begin to give them symbols. And that was how we came about all the elements on earth. Is a pure substance made of only one type of atom. They are purely made of, if you analyze aluminium in the whole world, they are made up of similar atoms. Calcium is made up of similar atoms. Copper is made up of similar atoms in the whole world. And so elements can be defined as the parts, the smallest parts of a substance that can exist. Element can be defined as the smallest parts of a substance that can exist. A fraction, that's the meaning. Element. When somebody say, so that you don't get confused, when somebody say an element, there's no element in all what he has said. That is, there's no even a fraction. So an element is a fraction of the whole of a whole of that substance worldwide. If you take potassium now worldwide, you pick a fraction of it and say this is representing potassium worldwide, an element, a fraction, a symbol of it, and that is element, the smallest part of an element which can ever exist. I will not define atom now so that you don't get confused. So elements are fundamental building block of everything in the world. Elements are the fundamental block of everything in the world and can be in form of solid, liquid, and gas depending on their temperature. And let me tell you again that yes, they came to discover elements, but the real experiment began at the discovery of atom. The real experiment began at the discovery of atom, of all these elements. I hope you are following my explanation. Substances are made up of elements, and because we need better things, better life, we have to carry out experiments to know what we can manufacture. Know for sure that chemistry is the clothes you wear is that result of chemistry. Some food you eat today, they are results of chemistry. The electricity you enjoy today, the car you ride, part of it is as a result of chemistry. 50%, 60 to 70% of it is as a result of chemistry. And so atom has to be discovered. Atom has to be discovered. And what is that atom? Atom is like a cell in biology. A cell in biology can be defined as a basic unit of life. Basic unit. So it is in chemistry. Atoms is the atoms or atom is the smallest indivisible part of an element which can take part in chemical reaction. Atom is the building block of every substance, of every element. Atom is the building block of every element. It is the atom that make possible the chemical reactions. Why we can carry out chemical reaction is as a result of the discovery of atom. It is the atom that react together for chemical reaction to be able to take place. Element that we discover, aluminum, iron, calcium, sodium, potassium, and so on, they are bound together. The atoms inside that formed are bound together. They are bound together. So atoms are the fundamental block, the basic unit of every element. You cannot know chemistry except you are very good. You are excellent in the properties, behaviors of atoms. So as we are going to be going into the study of atom, pay proper attention, write your notes, and you will discover that chemistry is one of the simplest and easiest subjects. Atom. Let me review what I've said. When God created the earth, when God was creating the earth, He built all the substances around us were created by the use of elements. Were created. And that means chemical reactions started taking place at the creation. Chemical reaction started taking place at the creation. So chemical reactions mean elements make up these substances around us, but we cannot continue to leave them that way. So chemists has had to go into research, finding to know what are better things we can make from these elements. What are better ways we can live from this element? This gave birth to chemistry. And we are going to be starting from atoms. Atoms. This atom in Greek means atomos. Atomos. Atomos, meaning indivisible. Now, let me just create this impression before I leave. Indivisible means we cannot see it. And even electron microscope that can magnify substances anything by times has the magnifying index of 200,000 cannot see atom. So chemistry is based on postulation, and these assumptions as was assumed, they are working by it. They work by it, and it's working. It discovered that truly those things exist, even though we cannot see them, because all the things that have been manufactured, they were built, they were manufactured based on those assumptions, hypotheses, theories, and laws, and things are working. So let me give an analogy of maybe what is an atom. Like when you grind, maybe you take a chalk and begin to grind and grind and grind and until you cannot grind it again. Then pick one of the particles of the product that you cannot, how you can see how small and tiny and indivisible it could be. And that is the analogy I can give. Another analogy is when you pick a drop of an oil and drop it on a surface of water. The spread, the thickness of that spread is one atom. The thickness of just a drop of iron on water, that spread, tiny spread, is an analogy of an atom. So how small it is, but can take part, is the one that is taking part in chemical reaction. The next class is going to be what are the properties of atoms? What are the properties of atoms? Thank you.